average cracker. You might be wondering why I'm wearing these safety glasses. It's because I sprayed some of that brake cleaner in my eye trying to clean something in the engine. As you can see, it's all beautiful now. So anyways, what you're gonna need for this, basically we're gonna be changing from these brake discs to those. And the reason why I'm doing this, I told myself I would never change the brakes because this thing only has like 115 horses. It definitely doesn't need upgraded like Brembo brakes or anything, but on these, there's a little lip on these corners. Damn, I got the gloves up there. On these little corners here. And when you feel that lip, that's not good. That means this is worn down, and chances are it's probably warped. Especially on mine, because I might have either had crap on the inside of here. As you can see, it's super rusted, and what it does is when you press the brakes, it starts to wobble, and you can feel that in the steering wheel, and that's not good. It could also just be my alignment, because that's bad too, but that's another story. Anyways, what you're gonna need is some 19 millimeter, what are these called? Little wrench things for the wheels. What you're gonna want to do is when your car is actually down, you're gonna want to loosen these. I already loosened these bolts here, so I could just go ahead and pull most of them out with my hand. The rest I'm just gonna have to use the actual 19 millimeter. Did I say 9 millimeter or 19? Anyways, you're gonna need a 19. That's what you're gonna use for that. You're gonna need an impact screwdriver. I have this pipe for leverage, a mallet. I think this is a 17. Yeah, 17 for the bolt that connects the brakes, the actual brake pads, which are in there. I'll show you what that looks like. You're gonna need a C-clamp for the actual brake caliper, and that's like the tension thing. Whenever you push the pedals, that's what's squeezing the brakes together, because you're gonna have to squeeze that down. You're gonna want something with torque, so like normally you use a torque wrench, but I have that, I don't even know what that thing is, but this thing right here. You're gonna need something to clean off rust if you have an older car like me. These brake pads have gone through like 200,000 plus miles, so they're like way overdue. It's a good thing that I'm doing this, and they actually came with brakes that are supposedly upgraded. I don't know yet. I also have this stuff that I got for like $9 at Advanced Auto Parts. It's de-squeak, because when I changed the brakes, these brakes in here are actually fairly new. I just put them on like maybe 3 months ago, 2 months ago. I consider them pretty new. I mean, they look fine. The only thing, since day one, I thought maybe because they were new brakes that they would be squeaking a bit, and because I've been always told my whole life that whenever you hear the brakes squeaking after a brake job, it's usually a good thing. It just means that they're new, and the squeak goes away. That never happened with those brakes. That's either due to not having enough oil or grease on the back end, not having this stuff, or just bad brakes, brake discs. I'm not even sure, but I'm gonna try that out for this brake job. So I'll tell you how that goes in future videos. But for now, let's start on this. So basically, I noticed that a few screws here, bolts here, are not loose enough. So you're just gonna want to go take them out. I usually do a cross pattern even when I'm taking these off. It's good muscle memory, because you're gonna need to do a cross pattern when you put them back on. If you guys saw my earlier videos, I did crash my car, so if you see anything that looks a bit off, like maybe the black bumper, that's why. Basically, I think it might also cause some issues with the CV joints or something in there that's making the car wiggle so much when I'm driving. But yeah, I'm going to work on the little things that I can work on now, see if that helps. Fix the wobble when I push the brakes and stuff. Also, these brakes are just, like I said, they have a lip on them. They're horrible. So off comes your hubcap. And then sometimes the tires are on there pretty tight. So you're gonna give it a kick or hit it with something like a mallet, preferably, not a hammer. Okay, so I have some spacers on here. As you can see, this rust, when you put it on there, You hear that crunchiness, you see all that dust? That's not good, because you want that flush. As you can see, that's super dirty. It's like doing that, it's disgusting. That's all that brake dust and stuff, and rust. So, I'm gonna come over here, and with your brake cleaner, I don't know which one I used. Use this one. Okay, so this stuff actually runs really quick. I saw another one that said chlorinated. Apparently it's flammable. This one's not flammable. Recommend this because I don't understand, and I couldn't understand or figure out why you would want the other one for the same price. So anyways, get yourself some of this. You're gonna want like 4 cans. You could do it less, but just to be safe. In case you find anything you want to clean and you run out, because this does go by really quickly. You're gonna have enough if you have 4 cans. And try not to use this at an angle, even though I do every now and then. Just to get the job done. So yeah, what you would normally want to do with this, ideally, is take like a wire brush. I don't know what happened to our brush, so I'm using this. This normally goes on some machine. But you just want to take off all the rust and stuff, but I'm not really worried too much about this. As you can see on this side, it's pretty clean. And I'm going to clean, well, the new brake discs are going on the other end, so it shouldn't be too bad. I am going to clean the actual piece that goes behind the brake. I don't know what that would be called, but I'm going to set this aside over here at an angle to let it run off. I'm going to wipe it clean after. Next, what you're going to want to do is, another thing, you're going to need an 18, or no, a 19, this is an 18. Wrench. Is it wrench, right? Yeah, and you're going to want to, I'm going to show you, there's like a little bit that you're going to put this on. But right now what I'm going to do is, from the manufacturer, if you don't see these like ridges that this one has, I don't know if you can see that. See these little lines? That means that from the manufacturer they were scuffed up so like the brakes will grab easier. If yours don't have that, you're going to want to take some like really fine grit, like maybe 120 grit sandpaper, kind of just like rough it up in circular motion. If you have like a flat one, but this one has ridges and it already has that. But what this does have that you have to take off is also, these are from eBay. I got them for like 50 bucks both. It was like a set, so it's this side and the other side. But what you're going to want to do is, there's actually oil or something on this, on these thingies that you have to take off, and that is on there to preserve the metal, I'm assuming. But you don't want that, any oil on your brake pads. So what you're going to want to do is put some of this stuff on there, let it dry off a little bit, and then you're going to want to wipe it down. But meanwhile that's happening and drying itself, grab a, here we go. You're going to want a 12 millimeter and a 19 or 18 millimeter wrench, and you're going to want one that doesn't move. So what we're going to do up in here is, there's this little, this is the lip that I was talking about, this little thing that comes up here. And what you're going to want to do is, this is going to go on top of here. You're going to want to hold that tight, and you want to hold it flush with that lip. Make sure it doesn't move, because if you, I actually just found this out like earlier, if you don't, damn it, if you don't have that there, and you try to go to screw this, basically this whole thing is going to start spinning, and you don't want that. So let me make sure this is the right way. I don't think that's right. There we go. That's, oh, this side's going to be a pain. Yeah, you're going to want to hold that little lip thing right there in place like that. So just keep it there. And then that should come loose. Then after that, that's most of the muscle work you're going to do for these. And those just come out by hand. There's another one on the bottom, down in the back. And it's the same thing. Alright, so you're going to want to put this here, and then do the same thing. Just make sure that that lip thing doesn't move. And that's that. And that is basically going to loosen just the caliper from the brace. So you can take these out, remember where they go. Just because, rule of thumb, usually want to put things back where you found them. And if it doesn't come out, just give it some taps. And there they go. You can usually just leave this hanging like this. It should be fine. And I'm just going to go ahead and put these bolts back into the back of this. One thing I'm not going to show you guys that I just did like pretty recently is you're going to want to grease up these bolts. This is actually a bolt behind this little rubber, and they compress in and out. See that? They come in and out. This is all greased up. I can feel it. It's perfectly greased. We don't have to touch those too much. So we're just going to leave those there. Next is we have these 17mm bolts. 19. The 17mm bolts back here, and I would turn the actual brake or whatever wheel area, but the car's not on, it's up on the lift. So if you can turn the wheel, it would be easier to just turn it to the left. If you're working on the right side, turn it to the right if you're working on the left side, so these areas are more exposed. But anyways, there's one bolt right here, right behind here. See that one? And then there's an identical one down at the bottom down there, but that's what it looks like, okay? That's what we're working with right there. So this one's pretty tough to get out. At least on the other side it was. Okay, so I think that might be the wrong one. Left, yeah. It would be up on this one. So actually I can kind of turn this, not too much. I'm just gonna leave that there. So this is where a pipe comes handy. I don't know what's wrong with me. So if you have something with a hole that'll fit your wrench, you're just gonna want to put the you're gonna want to put the wrench inside of that and just twist it. And the same thing is gonna happen at the bottom. Just gonna loosen that bolt. And say you don't have the leverage for a pipe. Another really good idea is take something like this and put it on the end here and kind of just pry upwards. As long as you have the wheel out, you're gonna have all this area to work with. So you can kind of just like pull that way. On the other side, you're gonna want to pull down. So just kind of improvise. If you don't have the right tools or leverage, you're gonna want to create leverage. All right, so that's for the brace, and the brace basically holds the brake pads in. And that's what the brace looks like. So these bolts, I'm gonna put them right back where they belong. And I'm gonna actually clean this up later, but for right now, I'm gonna go ahead and pull these out. Okay, really quick. Normally these actually came with silencers. You see these little ridges here? These little ridges right here is where the silencer would go. It's a flat plate that goes on the back that usually brakes come with. I didn't add it to these because you didn't really see a point in doing so. Wow, these are like really weird. These are like newer brakes, but this looks messed up. Must be grabbing all the rust off of this thing. Yeah, so we're actually going to be installing the new ones with the silencers, and then instead of just putting grease here, I'm going to put the grease on top of the silencer, see if that actually helps. So next, you're going to want to grab your impact screwdriver and your mallet or hammer. To the side, remember lefty loosey, righty tighty. So we're going to be going left, and you're going to want to push in No, actually. Let's see. Alright, yeah. Push to the right all the way until it kind of locks up. At least that's how mine is. And then it's locked. It's right in place, and that's where we need it to be. So keep pushing to your left, so it can be loosened. I'm just scared that I'm gonna strip this. Yeah, and then just hit it. And there it goes. Oh, that's free. Same thing on this side. Push in to the left so it locks up. See, that's what happens if you don't do this right. You start to strip the screw. That's not good. Stripping it. Okay, might have to use a different screw for that. I think I was using the wrong screw. You're gonna want the bigger screw, the biggest one you can find. I think this is bigger. So. There it goes. That thing is messed up. Okay. It shouldn't be that big of a problem. You can always replace these screws, or just don't mess them up to begin with. So. And then after you take these out, these come out like normal screws. Oops. And put them somewhere where you're not going to lose them. And then next, we come over to the brake rotor. Just clean off the brake cleaner that you just put on here. And then I'm trying not to touch this too much. I'll rotate it and do the same thing. On this. And just let it sit and dry. Next, this is out. Pull this out. This is the old one, also has a lip. Yeah, this one's probably worse than the other side, I think. Set that aside. Next, you're going to want to grab preferably a cleaner brush than this. But basically all this, you can see, is brake dust and rust. And I have a hunch that this whole area is probably what's been scraping and making that noise, that squeaky noise on my brakes. You just want to go get a new battery, so I don't remember exactly where I left off. I think we cleaned that already. Yeah, we did that. We put the brake cleaner on it. Okay, so basically what I did is after you kind of clean this up a bit, put some brake cleaner on it. As you can see, it looks a lot better. You could go all out and like clean all that rust and stuff, and that's probably the best thing to do. But it looks okay to me. So. Another thing, the brake squeak, the anti-squeak stuff, says that you want to drive it at low speeds and press the brakes 6 to 8 times. I think it says 6 to 8, like firmly. Just kind of like ease into it until it's like complete, not a complete stop, but pretty much a yield, so that the product gets spread around. And also for the brakes, since they're new brakes, you're gonna want to do that anyways, so you don't get image burn, so you don't get a burn, I guess, from the brakes, because I think that might have been also what I did. The last brakes is I put them on, and just drove, which you're not supposed to do apparently. You're supposed to put on the brakes and kind of brake them in. And something to note when you're putting these rotors back on is make sure these bolts are here, because those are what holds this in place. Okay, so apparently I was using this wrong. Apparently you're supposed to just go all the way till it stops and just give it a tap, and that locks it into place. That's probably why I stripped those. So, make sure it's got good clearance. And take your new brakes. Take a good look at them. You'll realize that one has this lip, little latch thing, and this one has this. This is going to be sticking out of your brake, so when you put it in, you're going to want it on the inside. And on these, for example, it's going to be on the bottom half of this rotor. On the old brakes that I had over there, it was kind of like this, okay? So just make sure you're putting them in right. You're going to want the little turn to fit with the disc, so this little edge here is going to sit like this. The edge is going to be on the outside, not on the inside. Alright, so that's just something to note really quick. Take your grease or your anti-seize or whatever you're using, and you're going to want to put some on the inside of your little brace. You don't have to go crazy with this. Just want to put enough so that the brakes kind of slide in and out nicely. Because this is a spot where the brakes actually move in and out, or compress, I guess. Also on these, when you put them on, you're going to want to grease up this whole side and this, but I'll show you that in a second. We're going to first go ahead and put these on. So it's these two bolts. Just pull them out, put them in, and just hand tighten everything up. You're going to want to go as tight as you can with your hands, so it saves you some time trying to put these in later. Now for the brakes. Like I said earlier, just going to want to take the grease and grease up this whole side. Normally you would only do this if you don't have the silencers in place, but I want to try this out. Hopefully it doesn't get me killed. I don't see why it would. Because it's not on the actual brake side. This is just where the little compression thing happens. A little compression of the caliper happens. So Actually, I have to squeeze that, but I'll show you that in a little bit. If anything, you want a little bit more on these ends. And then this one is going on that side like this. So basically on this side is the same as the other side. You're going to want to line them up with these little ridges here and then just push them in. And I guess I'm going to have to touch it here. That's that. Okay, next is you're going to want to take your C-clamp. And inside of the rotor, this thing right here is the thing that you're going to be compressing. It's going to feel like you're not really going anywhere, but keep your eye on that lip, and it's going to be going downwards. Come to think of it, what I probably should have done on the other side is clean this thing. Once you have this flush here, just take your C-clamp out. This thing's pretty heavy. Okay, so that's flush, as you can see right there. Flush enough. I'm just going to want to rotate it. Let's see, it doesn't go that way, it goes this way. Rotate it, and I had these bolts in here for earlier. Just take them out. Slide this on, and just put this side on. Take off the other one, the one on the bottom, align it in place there, and screw that one in. And just do it hand tight again. I don't even know what that noise is. Whatever. That's what the other noise on the other side. So maybe it's nothing rubbing, it's probably just stuff that I sprayed on here, or maybe it's just that they're new brakes, so I kind of have to wear them in. Actually, we probably should have done this before, put the actual caliper on, is you're going to want to tighten the brace, which is the bigger 17mm bolt. Just do that as tight as possible. Same thing with the bottom. Okay. And then go to your 12mm and your ratchet. It's the same thing in reverse. Hold this piece in place. Make sure your ratchet's going the right way. Yep. That on there. This one here. That. Like I said, normally you would take out this actual bolt that's in here and put grease or anti-seize on that, but it's already done for me pretty much, so not gonna worry about that. And that is not good that I got in there. Alright, next thing is just putting, in my case, my little cheap spacers on next to your wheel, which I don't remember where I put it. Probably should have had this up at chest level. Take 8 bolts, take your hubcap, make sure you line it right. And tighten this. And then take your torque wrench. And torque these into place. I don't even think that's the right term, but next, lower the car. And I'm just going to go over this one more time. And then you just have to clean up all your tools and stuff. So I think the last thing to do is just this. You don't want to go outside of the car. And put your foot on the brake pedal. And as you can see, it goes all the way down to the floor. So you're just going to want to pump it up. And that's where it should be. That's as far as I can put my foot down. Alright, and that means they're back to normal. And you're good to go for a drive. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Drive your car, make sure everything's good. If it squeaks a little bit, it's probably not an issue, but I'll let you guys know in a future update. And yeah, that's how you change your brakes and your rotors. So thanks for watching. Leave a thumbs up. Subscribe for more tutorials. I'm also going to be changing the rear cam seal on my car. I actually had the aluminum one, but that's not going to fit right. I have to take off the whole actual head, or the valve cover, I guess, camshaft cover, I don't know what that would be called. It's too much of a hassle to do that for a little piece of plastic, so I'm just going to go ahead and get the little piece of plastic and do a video on that. Next up is the rear bumper. I have some mud flaps to put on, and I'm going to be plastic dipping the car, so subscribe for that stuff, and thanks for watching.